Welcome back to the channel, guys. Are you ready for this? Today we'll be reviewing some return pumps. Better yet, and I have another one. We will be reviewing the jebao, whatever you want to call it, return pumps. Let's talk return pumps. So for anyone who's running a aquarium with a sump attached to it, you're gonna have a return pump. That's a given. Unless you could think of another way to return the water. So, yeah, you're gonna need a return pump. A lot of people, myself included, will take months to figure out what return pump to get. I watch countless videos, scouring the internet, going through return pumps reviews, all of that. I actually landed on this pump. Again, I have two of these, one of this. I will go through why I have so many return pumps. Bear in mind, these return pumps are all for one tank that I only run one return pump on at a time. I have other tanks where I run other return pumps on, but we're going to be talking about these pumps right now. About 4 years ago, I decided to do a sump. At first, I was doing a budget tank where I had a 55-gallon tank with a hang on the back everything. Hang on the back filter. I had a heater right there. I had everything done on the back. For me, I just wanted to see what I really needed to get the tank going. So I had a lot of fish. I actually had corals. I started off that tank, and then within about 3 months, I had an anemone. I had a long tip anemone, which was very long. Like, the rockwork didn't even had a lot of algae or just coloration to it before I added that, and it was doing pretty well. I also had a couple of zoas in that tank at that point. The reason I no longer have that anemone, I guess it wasn't happy one day and it started to walk, and it walked right onto my heater and it got stuck to the heater. That was it for that anemone. That was like the last straw where I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna need to do a sump so that I could put all the gear down there, just so in the case that I decided to do another anemone, I wouldn't have that issue. I didn't get another anemone. I pretty much just, like, you know what? I don't want that. Fast forward 3 years later, in my frac tank, I have about 6 anemones. So I couldn't fight it long enough. If you know me, I do reviews based on using the product for an extensive period of time, not just, oh, this is what I think of it, this is how it runs for the first week. No, not about that life. My pump I've been running for at least 3 years for the longest one. The others, a couple months. But by this time, I know the ins and out of the pump, so I know what to do. Let's go back to 2022. So 2022, I remember one day my both apps, so my Hydros app and also my Inkbird app, just went off. Like, heat alert, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, whoa, what's going on? So I ran downstairs, ran into the basement where the big tank, which all of that was going off from. I noticed, okay, there's no flow coming from the inputs. Okay, went around to the controller, and that's when I noticed that the controller had an error message. I didn't even check the controller app, the jebao app, and yes, I should have, but that wouldn't have changed anything. But I noticed that the controller had an error message on it. I was like, whoa, what's going on? Turn it off, turn it back on, nothing came up. I'm like, whoa. This is at like 8 p.m. Like, okay, what's going on? And I'm like, okay, I think my pump failed. All right, trying to call up some friends. I know they're with families and all of that. Calling some friends who own stores, calling some of my fellow reefers. The first person to get back at me was Ryan Chummingham's Reef. He was the first one to get back at me. I was like, hey, I actually have some pumps at home. If you want to grab them and use them for your tank until you go get your other pump, because I couldn't buy a pump. I knew if I bought a pump online at that time, I wouldn't have gotten it within a couple hours. It would be at least a day. And so just doing that, we're just like, okay, figure it out. I tried to grab pumps from other tanks, but they weren't the same size. So all of that back and forth, it's like, okay, it's not going to work. And so I ended up just moving the heater up to the main display tank, just to make sure the temperature stayed the same. Move all my probes to the tank up top, just again to make sure I could still monitor everything on the tank. I contacted another friend who owns a store, and he was like, hey, I actually have the same pump like this. So bear in mind, all my fittings and everything have been measured out for this pump. So I was like, okay, that's perfect. I could make that work. I don't know how much you guys are paying for these pumps, but I paid $110 for this pump. Yeah, no special price. That's the price that they had in the store. I ran to the store right after work, grabbed the pumps, came home, put it on. Bear in mind, I've been running the previous pump for about 3 years. About 3 years without giving it a break. That was the only pump I had. I was like, okay, when it fails, it fails. Never to think, oh, I should have another pump in the case that when it fails, I could swap it out. Never crossed my mind. But when that happened, and I was talking to him, his response was, are you sure it's not the controller? I actually have it right here. This is my first controller. As you can see, I had it connected to my box. I had it connected just like that. But yeah, he was saying, are you sure it's not the controller? I'm like, I don't think it's a controller, but either way, I want a redundancy pump. So give it to me. Which was this one. Took it, got home. It worked for 3 months that I had the same issue. Like, what the hell? Could not figure out why. Until I completely disassembled them. That's when I noticed the fault in this pump. And bear in mind, I believe the first one worked for the 3 years well because one, I wasn't dosing as I was. I noticed a lot of things start to happen to my tank when I start to dose my kalkwasser. One, you want to make sure that you're dosing that properly, or else you will mess up a lot of things in your tank. But yeah, once I noticed I started to dose the kalkwasser, a lot of things. If you notice, like with my heater review, I spoke about how the heaters look after all that kalkwasser in there. Also, the pumps just start to fail like constantly after dosing the amount of kalkwasser I have. Right now, my 125 gallon display, which is about 100, it's actually close to about 200 gallons of water running through it. I try to keep that pH at 8.43. People always say don't chase a number, but me keeping the pH stable is still me chasing that number. So I found a way with my hydros and my calc reactor to keep it stable at that pH. So again, I found out fault with this pump. I'm gonna disassemble one right now, go through it as well, just to go over like how to disassemble it, how to clean it. I'm not gonna clean one right now. Might need a clean, but I'm not going to clean it right now. But just kind of go over all of that just so that I could help to let you understand what's going on with it. And bear in mind, if anyone knows, I do want a 2,000 gallon tank. I'm working towards that. So the next pump might not be this one. I've been thinking about an Abyss, which is a lot of money, but that might be my next pump. So I'd like for you to make your judgment based on the pump, based on what I'm going to say. I'm not going to say whether you should buy it or you shouldn't. I'm just giving you my feedback on it. I bought it, again, I wanted it to be cheap. I wanted to do the cheapest tank I could, just so that I could put more of the money into the livestock of the tank. So we're going to kind of go through that and see like what you think of it. So let's go. So fresh out the box, I've used this once for about like 2 minutes when I was changing something over. I just put this one on to use it. So this is how it looks, new. You have your protector right here. You got your mount. It has rubber feet on it. In the box, this one has, I actually still use these boxes to keep stuff. So in the box, you will get your fittings for different size pipes. Some of them you're going to notice are duplicates because I have a lot else. I should have some in there and some somewhere else in one of my containers in the basement. But yeah, you have fittings for all of those. You have the connectors, and it works pretty simple. You put this here. You attach your pipe right here. You could either do soft pipe or hard pipes. I use hard pipes. I honestly can't hear it, so I know a lot of people use the soft tubing to minimize the vibration. I don't have that issue, so I just go hard pipe straight in. Maybe on a different application where I don't have the ability to do that, I might do a soft pipe. For a lot of people, whenever I'm doing a tank for them, I will do soft pipe. So my case, I just realized I didn't have that issue. So again, connect it to this, and then just simple getting the threads lined up, and you connect it. One thing I also forgot to mention, I still have one, is this. Yep, this rubber gasket. What I like to do is I like to keep the rubber gasket between both of them. Right there. And then we tighten it down. You can see rubber gasket right there. But yeah, that's just how like you put it together. This end right here would be connected to the controller. Right there. You put, goes in, and then you just screw this on, keep it intact, and then the power cord is right there. Let me turn that up, as I said, more just all over. Keep them just in case I need them. But yeah, this is how it looks brand new. If you're me and you want to really use your pumps, this turns into that turns into this very quickly. So as you can see, I don't even have the rubber base on it right now. I got tired of taking it off because I had to take apart this so much. So take it off. You got two ways of taking this piece off. You could take it completely off just by pulling it. It's gonna separate from the quick connectors on it, or you could screw it off. When you screw it off, you can see it hits right there a lot, so you just have to keep turning it until it comes completely off. Comes right off. But as I was saying, this, you'll notice once it gets close, it's about there, they start to hit right there. So it hits on this ledge right here. Nothing crazy, but I think that would be something if they did some type of R&D, they would have noticed that it hits that ledge right there. So see, you could also hear it. So yeah, that's one thing right there. So let's take that off, put that aside. Next thing now is to take this part off. This just always reminds me of a turbo. I'm into cars as well, so I just call this the snail. I don't know what it's actually called, but I just call it the snail. So you can see it. So there it is. You just hold it and turn. Now you know that it's open. You can work it off. So it comes right off. Well, you see that. So just for reference, oh, that is not good. I'm gonna have to throw away this pump as well. I'll show you this later. So that's how it looks used. This is how it is new. But something I just noticed, my wires is caught. Like, that is crazy. It's a good thing I'm doing this video right now. I'm actually gonna go check the other one because I'm seeing bare wire right here. That's not safe one bit. Yeah, we can see bare wire. Never mind. I like these pumps. The other day I was doing a tank install with a friend and we pulled my pickup truck filled with the water. We didn't just have water in the pickup truck, we had buckets. But we pulled it up to the garage and his tank was on the second floor. And he had a big pump. I don't remember the brand, but we were trying to use that to send the water up. Would not get up there. And he had a jebao pump, similar size to this. It was a black one. That will help you to figure out which one it is. I didn't really care which one it was, but I noticed we used that pump. Water got up there, and bear in mind the other pump in terms of size is about double the size, so about like yay big. Could not get that water up there, but a pump similar to this was able to get it up to the second floor, and that's how we filled the tank up. Again, I'm going to be throwing this one out, but I'm going to take off some of the components off of it right now. Again, this one is my oldest one, but that is, whew, that's scary right there. I'm so happy that I'm actually doing this right now. This would have caused a lot of issues. So, again, I've done this a few times. The first time I did this, I had to connect it to a vise and pull it to get it off. So my issue with this pump, on some of them you will have a rubber connector either here, that's all the way in the back right there, or a rubber connector inside here. This propeller you could take off. It's kind of hard right now. I might have to put it on the vise again, and you just take it off. But the connector I'm referring to is right here. That rubber, it's like a rubber gasket. I noticed after I pulled it apart and I was putting it back together, I decided not to put it back in there. When I didn't put it back in there, the pump worked. When I put it in there, it stopped. I lubricated the gasket, still wouldn't work. Well, it worked for 5 minutes, then it stopped again. So I realized that was where the issue lied. So after starting to dose more kalkwasser, I started to have that issue. The first pump stopped. New pump stopped within a couple months. I was shocked because the first pump I had was running for 3 years before I had any issue. Now this one just stopped within about 3 months. So I did the same thing. I took that rubber gasket out and it worked. So I believe that is the main reason for this particular pump to fail. That rubber. So if it is that you have one that's not working, I suggest just trying that and just running it. I literally held the pump in my hand outside of water just to test it for 5 seconds, and it ran. Put it in water and it kept running. So that's how I knew that was the issue. Again, since then, this I've been running. It has some wiggle to it right now, but it doesn't make a lot of noise. They normally put the gaskets on it to stop the vibration so it's not as loud, but I still can't hear the pump. So I have no problem. Again, I will be throwing this pump out right now. That is my review on my return pump. If you found it useful, go ahead and let me know in the comments below. If you like what I'm doing here, feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, again, feel free to ask it right there in the comments below. If you'd like for me to make a review or just talk about anything on the channel, go ahead and let me know. Yeah, this is Carb Reefer. Till next time, peace.